Welcome back to Vegas Live with Ninon. It has been so exciting. All the interviews I have, each one is so different, and it's like changing gears all the time, because some of them, I mean, it's just been amazing where they've sort of come from and their lives and everything. But now I have something which is really an outstanding story. Well, to me it is anyway, maybe, I hope to you as well. Maggie, actually, what nationality are you?
From Mexico.
You're from Mexico?
Yes.
She's from Mexico, and apparently you came into America?
Yes.
How old were you?
17.
17 when you came in?
Yes.
Was it very hard then, or was it easy, or how did you?
Very hard. I didn't know any English.
No English?
But I was lucky enough that I went to a university where nobody spoke Spanish, so I really had to learn the language.
To learn the language. It's either learn or die, one or the other. So you decided, I think I want to learn the language.
Yes.
Then I understand you went through an awful lot, and you actually ended up homeless.
Yes.
Totally, and you had $800.
Yes.
She had $800. She was homeless, and you just sold your business. We're going to get back to it. You just sold your business in 2015.
Yes.
For $2 million.
It sold with Garden Fresh for $231 million.
$231 million.
But I will have to say that I was born in an orphanage in Mexico.
So yeah, this is the story now coming out. So
yes.
You're from an orphanage.
Yes.
So you don't even have a mom and dad.
I do, but they adopted 60 kids. So there's 68 of us.
Yes.
So I was born into the orphanage, and it was in the mountains of Mexico, and it was poverty, and it was some things, you've never heard of a family that has 60 plus kids plus other kids that would come in.
Yeah.
And so to try to escape all the things that happened that I saw and lived, because so many abused kids would come in or things would happen.
So, but there was no abuse in the orphanage though?
Yes.
Well, there was. Okay.
Yes.
So we can't seem to escape this abusive thing anywhere.
Yes.
It's everywhere.
Yes.
But were you ever abused?
I was. My escape was I dug a cave in a mountaintop, and I would sleep there and hide there. I have pictures of it still, but it was my secret hiding place.
And nobody knew that this
nobody
was,
knew that
nobody knew where you
existed.
went.
Right.
Nobody knew where you went.
Right.
So would you come out of that and go into the orphanage to get some food and get stuff?
I would come back if I heard my name being yelled a lot, because it meant I was in trouble.
Oh, so then you come back and say, I'm
Yes.
here, I'm okay, and everything's fine.
Because I would take my food and everything to the cave too.
So you this was kind of your, and
Yes.
this story is amazing. How long did you live in that?
In the cave?
Yes.
It was from where I was 6 years old when I started carving it, and it was a place where it was like a canyon, so it was really hard to even get to.
But being a little one, you managed to
I could
around.
go and get to it
But
my
you
own
also,
way.
did you know that nobody else could get there? That's
Absolutely.
why you did it?
Absolutely. When they were the boys...
Survival is the most amazing thing at such a young age.
Yes.
And how old were you at that time? 6 years? 7 years?
I dug it when I was around 6 years old, and I kept it all my life until somebody finally found me in it. Until I was like, not all my life, but when I was 16 before, 17 before I came here to the States, but I always had it.
But you always had this secret place.
Secret hiding
you
place.
kept that as, see, you can keep a secret, and she sure did keep the secret. That's amazing.
Yes.
So was this kind of a tranquil place, not having sort of a mother and father, but at least you had a home?
Yes.
But you didn't really have anything. What would you think about when you were there? I mean, did you know that you're supposed to have a mom and dad? Did you know any of this?
Well, I did have a mom and dad, but I wasn't connected to them like I wanted to, because it was sort of impossible, because there's so many of us.
Yeah.
And I've learned that's taught me so many things, appreciation, not taking things for granted. It's taught me really the concept of family, but I had to model it from seeing it here. Yeah. Seeing somebody that I believe it's a beautiful family, and recreating that for myself.
And
here.
recreating that for yourself. So then you managed to get yourself into college. How did you manage that?
Yes. So when I was in junior high, I was always thinking about how can I do something to get out of here? What can I come up with? Yeah. I always had this mind of trying to figure out what can I do to come out to be a
better
better
yourself.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was in junior high school, and I remember watching Michael Jordan play in a little black TV in the principal's office. And I started watching the games, and I asked if I could come in when I was not in class, and he said yes. So out of that, I started learning Michael Jordan moves. And so I would blind myself. We had a dirt court in the orphanage, and I had a little adopted brother that had spinal bifida. He couldn't walk, and I had to carry him everywhere I went to look out after him.
Yeah.
So he would tell me stop and turn, and so that I wouldn't hit the pole or come out of the court. And that's how I learned with my mind to really play ball really good. So when
But also trusting yourself.
Yes. And trusting him.
Trusting him and
Yes.
trusting somebody else.
Yes.
Trusting yourself that you could actually make this transition.
Right. So when I was in high school, we won all the games. We were champions. And I got recruited to play basketball by the Mexican national team in Mexico City.
Wow.
And I waited for them 3 months. And right after the 3 months, I went out and played football with my brothers, American football, and I broke my collarbone. And 3 days later, the national team called, and I couldn't go.
Oh, wow. So that was a big disappointment for you.
So our caregiver, he was a doctor, and he looked at me, and he turned me backwards, and he says, your dreams are over. And to hear that from a doctor and a man of power, you would think your dreams are over, but
And then you thought, well, I got to do something else now.
Well, I chose to believe that wasn't the end, that if something bad happens to me now, there must be something better.
else for you to...
Right.
So you already thought that you've got something else to replace that.
Right. Well, I didn't know that.
At that time, no, but you knew there was something.
Right. I knew there's got to be a reason why this is happening. And I'm just going to open my mind and be hopeful that something better is going to show up for me. So 4 months later, my parents the caregivers and parents took a bus to the United States with all the 60-plus siblings to tour raise support for the orphanage. And we stopped at a picnic in West Virginia.
Yeah.
There was a basketball court, and I started to play. And there happened to be the coach of the University of Charleston. She saw me play, and she asked to give me a scholarship to come here, and that's why I'm here speaking with you today.
If I'm start crying, please understand why, because this is quite a story. So now, what made you started a business?
Right.
And what made you start that?
When I was in college, I started making pico de gallo, Mexican style salsa.
So you started making salsa?
Salsa with a little twist.
Okay.
And my friends loved it.
Yeah.
And they told my teachers, so my teachers had me bring salsa to class all the time. So when I graduated college and I couldn't find a job, I became homeless. And I was actually in the streets. I didn't even know I was homeless because I lived in the woods all my life.
All your life, so she wasn't really homeless.
Right.
So this has got concrete instead of earth.
Right, that's right.
That's about the only difference. And you didn't have a cave, you probably had something you slept in.
Yes.
So you know what actually sleeping on the streets is.
Yes, well, I was more on the woods than on the streets.
Well, that's because you knew what the woods were more
Right.
comfortable than the streets, that's why.
Yeah, softer ground.
Softer ground.
So right around that time, right after coming out of homelessness, I got entered into a salsa contest for the state of West Virginia.
So how did you get involved in that? Was that the university that put you into it, or just,
No,
you just
friends signed me up.
A friend who had tasted what you
Right,
have.
signed me up, and
It's funny. There's always been somebody looking out for you.
Yeah.
There's always been somebody there when you've had a low moment.
I believe it's what you put out there too.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more.
It comes back.
Absolutely, yes. If you put the right vibes out
Right.
there, it'll come back. Okay,
Right.
so you're now in this competition and you win
And-
first prize.
Yes,
I didn't know you did.
Unanimously.
Really?
Because back then, especially in West Virginia, all the salsas that were out there were cooked salsas.
Yes.
And mine was a fresh pico de gallo, like fresh cut Roma tomatoes, jalapenos, onions, everything.
Makes me hungry.
Yeah. So it was really delicious tasting salsa. And when I won that contest, it was my aha moment. And if you would have asked me 10 years ago that I'd be making salsa for a living, I was like,
You've got to be nuts.
right, right.
So you started making it in quantity.
In a gallon batch.
Gallon batch?
And selling it to friends.
And then you would sell it to friends.
Right.
And then you would make enough money to keep yourself.
Right. I would had a bunch of $1 bills and pretend that I was a millionaire, dreaming that I was a millionaire. And I started contacting stores, and everybody would tell me no, until I contacted about 90 stores, until I called Whole Foods, which is the largest organic retailer in the United States.
Okay.
They called me back and they said, we heard about you. We want to know more about you. When can you come?
Oh my goodness.
The rest is history when they ordered 10,000 pounds of salsa.
So now your problem is how am I going to make it?
Yes, yes. But I figured it out. The biggest thing for me was money. I didn't have money. So the smart thing that I did was ask for a contract and ask friends, say they're going to pay me in a week.
Yes.
I need 20 grand for cost of goods.
Okay.
Within a week, Whole Foods paid me $40,000. And then
that started rolling.
Right. And then Walmart wanted my products and everybody else because I was in Whole Foods. But the thing that I'm glad I didn't do was stop short of gold, because none of the rest would have happened if I would have stopped from moving forward and keep trying.
But you see your tenacity for life, and it's maybe from the childhood, or maybe it's something you were just born with, and it's something I think with some people have it and some people don't.
I agree.
But it seems to be that, well, if that's going to go a little that way, a little left field, and let me do this and let me move forward, or let me find out a way of how I can get this salsa out there and how I can, but you didn't kind of do it gradually, it kind of happened.
Right, but I was willing to do anything, whatever it took.
See, that's what it is.
And even getting my truck driver's license, which was, I had to drive my first truck, and it was so rusty and old. It's the only thing I could find. The stick shift didn't even have numbers. I couldn't reach the pedals. So I tied up a piece of wood block on my foot, and that's how I got the first product to Whole Foods.
Can you believe what you just said? So her foot couldn't reach the pedal of the truck. So she got a block of wood, tied it around her foot, and that became a shoe like this.
Yes.
Which we wear all the time now. No, we wear them all the time. But then you didn't have it. So in other words, you always had an answer, or you always tried to find an answer to a problem you had, and you always found it.
Or you create the answer.
Or you create the answer yourself when you try it.
Yes, absolutely.
I told you this was going to be a good story, and it's an amazing story because it's telling me, because I left home when I was 16 with $5, nothing. I had no money. So I'm a little bit into how survival is. I had no money, nothing. Like you, I had nothing. I did have a family, but they weren't interested in what I was doing, and I wasn't interested in what they were doing either. And so I did the same. I was out on my own, and then you have to survive. And you don't realize that all of a sudden you've got rent to pay and this to pay and that. And you managed to do all this. Okay, so now you've got it in all these stores.
Yes.
And then what happened? Because you now sold it.
Yes, well, it grew so fast and so rapidly that it went in 38 states. And then I sold the company. I ended up moving to Michigan and moving all my production and everything there.
To Michigan. Why Michigan?
Because that's where the company was that acquired it.
Okay.
And so I sold the company there, and then I helped transition it to the supermarkets.
So when you sell it, don't you have to stay on? You stay on for like 5 years?
1 year.
Oh, you only did 4 years?
Right.
Normally when you sell a company, you stay on for 5 years because you're helping them with that company. So you gave them 1 year. Here's a smart businesswoman here.
Well, within that year, then what happened was I ended up going back to Mexico when I got a call that some kids that were in the orphanage and also other kids that were being trafficked were in grave danger by being taken by a drug cartel.
Okay.
So I ended up going back and rescuing these kids, and I had to kind of take the matters on my own hands. People talk about...
Well, you've done that all your life.
Right. But people talk about giving with money or time.
You gave your time.
It wasn't my life because I thought that I was going to die at some point. I mean, I was outside in the concrete floor sleeping and kept them in a room. I had a gun, a .38 special gun. My brother had a hot shotgun, a Chisa Mexican gun.
Yeah.
And I had a dog tied on my waist because it would wake me up if anything
come along.
And it was such an amazing experience. We ended up actually involving the federales in the military, and they would come in and patrol once we had some issues. But
before that, these kids were in danger.
Right.
So did you bring those kids back to America? Or?
Oh, no.
No, they're still there.
It's impossible. But I have provided a home for them and a place for them to be safe.
So you've done that right now. So right now she has a home. Oh, Maggie's amazing. So you have an actual home there.
Yes.
You've put them all in there. How many kids are there?
There should be about 31. It depends because sometimes...
They come and go.
Right.
Yeah. But you know they're safe.
Yes.
And do a lot of the kids in this particular predicament, do they know this place is there that they could, like you were in with the 61 kids, so they have a place they can go to as well now.
Right.
So you spread the word that they can go in there.
Right. It's actually interesting that you say that, because we've had some kids from other orphanage or the street run
from their place to your
Escape
place. Because
come.
they know yours is a safe
Right.
haven, and it is a safe haven.
Right.
How often are you able to get over there to see them?
About once a year.
Once a year you get over. And how long have
Yes.
you had this?
Oh, it's been since 2015 when I really...
When you got all this money.
Right.
And this is what she did with her money. The money really didn't mean too much to you. You were used to not having any money anyway.
Right.
So it didn't really make any difference to her. But the money she did have, so she now helps what you went through as a kid. And talk about giving back. Holy shoot, that's really giving back. So what do you call this place? Is there a name for it?
It's called Give New Life Orphanage.
Give No Life Orphanage.
And it's changed its name from Mano de Ayuda, which was the old name.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what it is.
So now who did you sell your company to?
It sold to Garden Fresh, and then we sold to Campbell Soup.
So Garden Fresh and now Campbell Soup have the whole thing.
Yes.
And you are still involved with it, no, it's completely
it's
finished.
completely finished.
And
yeah.
so they pay you every year, or you pay, or how did that work
Just
out?
one time.
One time they paid you.
Yes.
How much was that?
It was $231 million, the deal.
So what are you doing with all that money now?
Most of it was given away.
Most of it was given
Yes.
away.
Yes.
Because that's where her heart is.
Yeah.
Can't help it. Are you living in Vegas now?
No,
or-
I'm living in Tampa Bay, in Florida.
You live in Florida
Yes.
now. So, I mean, I don't know how old you are, and I'm not going to ask you. So what do you
41,
want to do?
40 years old.
40
years old.
4 years old with an
Yes.
O on the end.
Yeah.
40.
14.
So what are you going to do with the rest of what's going on? What have you got in mind?
With, what do you mean the rest?
Anything, your life. What do you
What's
want to
going
do?
on now?
Yes, yes.
I'm a international motivational speaker, and I speak all over the country and in the world.
The world. About your
And-
story?
Right.
Her story is amazing. Absolutely incredible.
Yes.
And I have to thank Dale for this. Dale is
Yes,
wonderful.
yes.
And he's the one that actually brought her in. He said, Nina, you've got to interview this woman, and I will give you any time. I'm right over my time. I don't mind, because this story is a true, beautiful story that has to be told and is told. And my producer, Steve, is going, yes, Nina, and it's okay. You can go over with this story. It doesn't matter. But every story today I've gone over with anyway. But it's the energy you have. But it's not only that, it's what happened to you. You were always on the giving back.
Yes. I would give everything away that my caregiver would get mad at me, because he would tell me, you shouldn't give away what I gave you. But it was just my nature.
But he gave it to you, and he shouldn't really worry what happens to it, because you can
Exactly.
do what you
I wish you were there back then.
because it's funny, because in my car I have quarters all the time, and whenever I stop at a light and I see somebody that wants some money, I give them money. So I have a friend in the car that says, Nina, why'd you do that? I said, do what? Why'd you give them money? I said, well, because I give them money. Well, they're only going to abuse it, and you're not going to help them. I
That's
said,
their thing.
I don't mind what they do with it.
Right.
I just know that they are asking, they are begging. Now that person to me is not very well dressed, looks like they
Right.
need a bath, and looks like they need to have some food.
Right.
Whatever they do with the money, whether they drink it, gamble it, or that's what they want to do.
Right,
And that's what
exactly.
you've done too.
Yes.
You don't question what happens to it.
Right.
You are absolutely, Maggie, you are absolutely amazing. And I can't thank you enough
Thank you for
for
having
your
me here.
story and us putting it out there, just to know there are a lot of kind things that go on in this world that are unnoticed. And so I've been very fortunate to be able to bring Maggie on my show and have you
Thank
on.
you for having me.
And she's
very
thanking me. That's a beautiful thing. Thank you for watching. Take a leaf out of this lady's book and see what you can do for somebody else without questioning it. Don't worry where it goes or what happens. Just do what you need to do. We'll be right back. Vegas Live with Nina.
Thank you. My name is Magdalena de la Cruz Garcia. I am the founder of Magie Salsa LLC. This is a company that I started with a gift of $800 when I was homeless, and a company that sold a Campbell Soup in 2015.
When I first tasted Magie Salsa, I was blown away. It was awesome product. I could tell it was fresh. I could tell it was made with quality ingredients, and knew that it would be a great product for Walmart.
I am from Mexico, and this was life in an orphanage. And yes, these are my 68 brothers and sisters. Ever since I can remember, I mostly worked in construction, digging ditches, cutting trees, and gathering topsoil from the mountains. At times, we had no food for weeks, so some of my brothers and I resorted to hunting with our bare hands. We basically hunted at night using spotlights and nets to catch our prey. When I was about 6 years old, I started digging caves in sides of mountaintop canyons. These were my secret hiding places to rest. This was a way to try to escape, to cope with the things that I saw and lived. As a way out of the orphanage, I pursued basketball and got recruited in high school to play for the Mexican national team, but I broke my collarbone. My ticket out was months later when I got recruited to play basketball for the University of Charleston, and that's how I came here. I learned to play basketball really good by covering my eyes with the help of an orphan kid named Pancho. We found Pancho in a dumpster as a baby. He couldn't walk because he had spinal bifida, and my job was to carry him everywhere I went. When I graduated college, I couldn't find a job and I became homeless. I ended up living in the streets and also in the woods in a nearby forest. But to be honest, I didn't even know that I was homeless because that's how I lived most of my life. In 2004, I started my salsa company with a gift of $800 when my friends entered me into a salsa contest. I won the contest and I had an aha moment. I started my business and it grew very, very fast. My products sold in 38 states to supermarkets like Walmart's, Whole Foods, Sam's Clubs, and many more companies carried my products. Shortly after my company was sold to Campbell's, I went back to Mexico and helped save 31 orphan children who were in grave danger. Some of them were victims of sex trafficking. We later were able to involve the federales and the military in the continuous pursuit of the safety of these kids. The best type of giving currency is not money. It is the willingness to give your life for the service of others. Never take for granted one single moment of your life. Change starts now.
One of the things that we have every single morning when we wake up is we have two choices. We either let life control us or we take control of our lives. I am so grateful and thankful now that I emotion, I'm experiencing action. Thank you.
Let's hear it for Maggie. How about Maggie? Do not go. Maggie, stay up here.